Current affairs. West Bengal doctors withdraw strike. 1 week back in West Bengal, 2 junior doctors were assaulted after a patient died. On a spur of emotion, generally when the patient dies, the relatives and kith and kin attack the doctor. They will blame the doctor. This happens in India regularly, not only in Calcutta but also in various places. The first thing is the safety of the doctor. The second thing, the work culture. Third thing, public behavior of the doctor. So for all these things, 7 days West Bengal doctors went on strike. And day before yesterday, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee have conducted 2 hours meeting with the doctors' representatives and have finalized certain modalities and asked the doctors to stop the withdrawal strike. The modalities are appointing a nodal officer in all the hospitals with respect to doctor safety and security. Second thing, CCTV cameras in all the entrance and exit doors of the hospitals. And the third important thing, every hospital should have a functional grievance cell. Every hospital should have a functional grievance cell that should be properly visible and manned. That should be properly visible and manned. And the Supreme Court also agreed to hear a petition on deputing a uniformed personnel, government uniformed personnel, might be paramilitary or might be police, in all the government hospitals to provide security to the doctors in the country. This was the story. And in this, you might get a mains question, medical ethics in ethics. Ethics in medical profession, medical ethics, and also doctors' negligence. And most importantly, safety of the doctors. Similar case study might come in ethics paper. See, a person went with a fatal accident. Doctors tried hard, but in vain. The patient died. The relatives of the patient thought that the doctors delayed in treatment and they started attacking doctor without checking out whether the injuries are completely fatal or not. On a spur of emotion, they have beaten doctor to grave injury. How do you analyze the case? What is the thin line between medical ethics and medical negligence? And more importantly, can the doctors be punishable for the negligence? And what is the situation there? In these cases, we cannot say whether doctors are negligent or not in a blanket basis, because it depends on case by case. It depends on case by case, situation to situation. In some cases, there might be negligence on doctors. In some cases, even the doctor might give a last minute try, but generally the patient might not live in most of the cases. But we generally blame the doctor because we love almost our kith and kin, but we think that doctor have not taken proper care. So all these things we should study, and situation to situation. And no doctor will disapprove the patient when he is really serious. He will agree and try to do that. In certain cases, doctor might consider it as a medical legal case and might send it to police station. But right to medical assistance in emergency cases is a fundamental right under Article 21. Right to medical assistance in emergency cases is a fundamental right under Article 21 in Paramananda Katra versus State of Bihar. In Paramananda Katra versus State of Bihar. Even as ethics case study, you have to focus on this. Very important case study in ethics. Last minute the patient have come, no doctor is available. Or there is a hospital in Guntur where small baby died because of rats. Because of rat bites, small baby died in the ICU, neonatal intensive care unit. So these type of case studies also might appear in the ethics paper. Kindly follow this. Okay, and try to make. And I'll tell you one thing, this particular case, we cannot say the doctor is at fault, but the patient's relatives are saying that there was a delay in treatment. It depends on case to case. We cannot judge unless there is an investigation. Unless there is an investigation. Don't try to take a stand on that. In any case, similar cases, it depends on situation and investigation. let's see eyewitnesses, and at what time he has come, at what time treatment started, all these things should be taken care of. So this is how you have to manage your answer rather than coming to a blind conclusion on this. Okay. So coming to next important topic today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi have conducted an all-party meeting with respect to One India, One Election. One India, One Election. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi have conducted an all-party meeting. Here, again I wish to tell you, in 2017 mains, when this issue have flared up in India, it appeared in mains question paper in GS2. In 2017 mains GS2, One India, One Election question already have come. This year it might come again in prelims, mains or interview, or even if you take options like political science, you may get the similar question. One India, One Election. So generally the topic which is really important, they may ask you a question. What is simultaneous election? What are the pros and cons of conducting simultaneous election? This might be the main question. What is simultaneous election? What are the pros and cons in conducting simultaneous election? Even similar cases, they may ask you to write, say for example, in the topics like GS, even GS4, what are the ethical issues that are involved in simultaneous election? So there are various things that can be connected with this. Even essay, electoral reforms, even in that you can get a connection with this question. One India, One Election. What is this One India, One Election? First of all, you should know, in India, election expenses are going up year by year, and in India during elections we have model code of conduct. Model code of conduct, and when you enforce model code of conduct, Election Commission of India issues model code of conduct. When the model code of conduct starts, the government in the position cannot announce any new policy. It should carry on the government but cannot announce any new schemes or policies. One thing. So local elections, state assembly elections and Lok Sabha elections, in 5 years span, minimum 3 elections, and in these 3 elections average 2-3 months time there will be a model code of conduct, and there will be a policy paralysis. There will be a policy paralysis if you conduct regularly elections, and the political parties suffer with a syndrome called permanent campaigning syndrome. There is a word called permanent campaigning syndrome. They will be in campaigning mode, announcing all the time populist schemes. All the time they will announce populist schemes, and they will be under permanent campaigning syndrome. The next important thing is lot of expenditure to public exchequer. The funding for expenditure of elections comes from public exchequer. Whose money? Public money. So if you conduct state elections separately, if you conduct Lok Sabha elections separately, definitely it will be an overburden on expenditure. And the third important thing is, generally when you conduct elections separately, it's very difficult for the Election Commission to monitor all the time, because Election Commission do not have separate staff. It has to depend on central government and state government staff, and every time central government staff or state government staff have to work under Election Commission on deputation. Even all this process is very cumbersome. For all these reasons, to make it very simple and less complex and less cumbersome, we want One India, One Election or simultaneous election. These are the arguments in favor of simultaneous election. In favor of simultaneous election, and the governments in the government who are ruling, and the political parties who are in opposition, they will be concentrating on public policy and discussion and debate rather than complete elections. Okay, these are all the positives, but negatives. First of all, you should know, for the first 3 terms, for the first 3 general elections, we have One India, One Election in India. One India, One Election in India. The first thing is, One India, One Election is not very easy. We might need a constitutional amendment for that. And second most important thing, the completion of tenures of various state legislative assemblies and Lok Sabha are not together. or they are not together. For example, just now we have seen elections of Andhra Pradesh and Lok Sabha went together. So are not generally, most of the cases it won't happen together in all 29 states. And so we have to adjust elections according to the Lok Sabha elections. So we have to prepone or postpone the elections, we have to adjust. This is the second challenge. And the most important challenge which the communists are saying that is it affects the federal spirit and it is anti-democratic. It affects the federal spirit and it is anti-democratic. So if you conduct elections together for Lok Sabha and State Assembly, what will happen? Regional parties will get affected. Average Indian voter have a different psyche. They have very different psychological conception. That is, once you enter into the polling booth, you will frame that you are going to vote for a political party. Generally, if you vote for the national party, almost the same symbol you will vote for the state party. Cross voting is highly difficult in India. Cross voting is an exception. It is not a routine thing. So, when a voter enters into the polling booth, he will vote generally to the same party in the Lok Sabha elections and State Assembly elections. Very rarely he will go for a cross voting. Very rarely he will go for a cross voting. Even this is. For this, I will give a small example. In 1999 elections, general elections, where the elections were conducted together to Lok Sabha and State Assembly, around 68% of the people voted for the national party. Those who voted for the national party, 68% of the people voted for the regional, in the regional level also to the national party. In 2004 elections, around 77% of the people voted for the same political party. In 2009 elections, 76%. In 2014 elections, it is 86% of the people voted for the national party, same political party in the state level and national level. So if you count this criteria, why BJP is going for one India, one election is to consolidate, because BJP is becoming very, very powerful nowadays, and BJP has to become, according to BJP's dream, another Indian National Congress to rule India for the next 3-4 decades. For that reason, one India, one election definitely favors the national party rather than the regional party. So one India, one election might affect the regional spirit. So prudent regional party leaders, if you see Mamata Banerjee, even Stalin, they have opted not to go for that. Even Rahul Gandhi, though he is a national party leader. So there are various things that we have to understand here. So first thing is it affects the exchequer. Second thing is, first thing is it affects the federal spirit. And second thing, sometimes national parties might take a lead and regional parties might relegate it to second position. They might not win in the elections when elections were conducted together. And I'll give a famous example. TRS Supremo KCR went for early elections in Telangana. The entire elections were in the India. We have elections in the month of April and May, whereas Telangana elections went in December. Why it happened? Just think it over. Just think it over. And one more argument is, see, if you conduct one India, one election, already in every election we'll take caste, we'll take religion, we'll go with money, all these things. So we can minimize the using of these type of sectarianism or fragmentation in the politics. Even that is the advantage of going for one India, one election, rather than in a local election, in assembly election, in Lok Sabha election, rather than spending all these things and talking about all these things. Why don't you do this? So there were various things. One India, one election have pros and cons. And former Chief Election Commissioner Mr. Qureshi said, there is no emergency, you can phase by phase introduce one India, one election, not immediately. But one India, one election is a good thing. And the opposition parties are arguing with EVMs, we cannot entertain future elections, but EVMs cannot be tampered with. What we want is we should go back to ballot paper. Even that reform they are asking. So if you get a question, what is one India, one election and what are the pros and cons? There are certain words which you have to use. Permanent campaigning syndrome, policy paralysis, anti-federal, anti-democratic. There are certain words which you should use in writing pros and cons. I think you got it. So next important thing, there is one report that have come today. World Investment Report is given by World Investment Report, UNCTAD. UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. According to the recent World Investment Report, most of the FDIs are flying away from India. So you may get a prelims question. World Investment Report is given by UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. In the same way, UN have given a report. India is going to become most populous country by 2027. So within 8 years, another 8 to 9 years, India is going to become the largest populous country or the most populous country. And by 2050, India's population is 164 crores. 164 crores. By 2050, China population is 140 crores. Prediction is, and by 2047, we are going to have the peak of DD stage. By 2047, we are going to have peak of demographic dividend stage. So these are the important news today.